Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're regular here, you know I review many photographic, audio and video related products. Now today we're taking a look at a camera that's several years old, and it is the original Sony A7C. Now, why would I be looking at the A7C in 2024 when there's now the A7C Mark II and the A7CR, both considerably more expensive cameras and very highly specified. And now I'm looking at this because this camera now represents amazing value for money and is still relevant in 2024 and beyond. It's a great camera, and I think if you're looking for a cost-effective full frame camera, you don't want to spend the £2,000 plus on an A7C Mark II, particularly if you're getting it with a lens. This one you can pick up new for around £1,100–1,200. I got this one second hand, well, it was actually virtually new, from Clifton Cameras for under £1,000. Although I've had it before, sold it, and I bought it again because it's such a great camera. Now I want to go through some of the pros and cons with this camera. If you are looking at buying this camera, or maybe you hadn't thought of this camera, maybe you were looking at the Sony A6700, even other brands such as Canon, Panasonic and what have you, I genuinely think this is well worth looking at because it is a fantastic camera. I'm going to go through some of the images on my computer here. I will leave these images up on my Flickr page so you can take a look at them on Flickr. There's quite a few of them to look at. I've taken out and about at a circus, so quite a wide variety, from indoor lighting, using artificial theatre lighting, to outdoors, to general indoor shots, so quite a variety. Now the A7C is a 24 megapixel BSI backside illuminated sensor camera, so it's a pretty decent camera in low light, and 24 megapixels is pretty decent. It has got your 3-inch articulating screen, as you know most cameras have, so I'm not going to go through all its technical specs. That's completely pointless. You can get that on many other videos. I'm just going to go through why I still think this is completely relevant in 2024. Now its weight, body only with battery, is only 500 grams. That is really compact, that's really lightweight. And I've got a 400 gram lens fitted to it, so you're looking at about 900 grams in total here. And this will do most things, to be honest. It's a 20–40 Tamron 20–40 f2.8 lens, and it pairs very nicely with the A7C. Now the great thing with the Sony bodies, be it this one or any of the others, there's a very wide selection of lenses available, from pretty cheap to very expensive lenses. So you've got a broad selection to choose from, and even the cheap lenses are pretty decent depending on what manufacturer you go with. I'm a big fan of Viltrox lenses, and I think many other people are as well. I'm actually using a Viltrox lens on my Sony ZV-E10 Mark II today. It's the 33mm f1.4. It's the APS-C crop sensor lens. The ZV-E10 Mark II is a crop sensor body. That's getting the close-up shot. So very happy with Viltrox lenses. Recommend them all the time. So you can get something like this 20mm f2 lens, and that only retails for about 160 quid. And that's a full frame lens, Sony E-mount. They do make it in other mounts, but that's for Sony full frame one. You can get something like the Samyang 75mm. That's about 200 quid, if not less. And a lot of these photographs at the circus were taken with the Samyang lens. That produces really nice results. Obviously you can buy the Sony lenses, so a very wide selection of lenses available for the Sony E-mount. Even these little body cap lenses. This is an autofocus body cap lens from Viltrox. I haven't reviewed it yet, I will be doing so. I keep that on the camera body all the time because I don't have to worry about body caps. So yeah, great camera to adapt with different lenses. The fact that it's full frame, you can switch it to APS-C mode or crop sensor mode. If you've got a full frame lens on the body, you can set it to crop sensor mode. So for example, this lens, instead of being 20–40, would end up being a 30–60. But it is only using a cropped part of the sensor, so you will lose megapixels. But in video, not an issue. It still does 4K video and it's still beautiful quality. So you're not losing resolution when you're shooting video in crop sensor mode. But that's another reason why I love the A7C because you can use crop sensor mode, particularly for video. Although this is one of the older cameras, it still uses the Sony FZ100 battery. That's an awesome battery. You get a lot more shots out of it than what the CPA rating suggests that you do. Again, at this circus, I must have taken, I think it was 2,500 images, and I still had, I think, about 50–60% left of a battery, so it will get you through a day's shoot probably quite easily. But yeah, great battery and great battery life with the original A7C. If you're buying the A7C for video, you'll find it's really great. There is no video record limit. That's great for me here in the studio. I don't have to worry about the 30-minute video record limit. I know most cameras nowadays don't have a video record limit, but a camera that's a couple of years old, I think it's great that Sony did introduce that in this particular model, and it doesn't overheat. And again, that's crucial for me because I'm probably doing 2 or 3 videos in one go, and it's nice that I don't have to worry about the camera overheating. It'll just keep on running until either the battery runs flat or the SD card fills up. But you can use it on power delivery as well. It's got a USB-C port on the side here, so you can actually plug a USB-C lead into that and use that for power delivery as well as obviously data transfer. And that's what I do here in the studio. I've got my ZV-E10 Mark II plugged into a power source, so I don't have to worry about the battery running out. It is only 8-bit video though, it isn't 10-bit like the new A7C Mark II and my ZV-E10 Mark II. Now, don't be put off by the fact that it is only 8-bit. 10-bit recording is great if you're doing color grading or you're doing green screen work. Fairly essential if you're doing green screen work and color grading. Not essential if you're not doing fancy color grading. I don't do fancy color grading. It's straight into the computer. I do edit it obviously and do a bit of tweaking, but nothing drastic. So an 8-bit output is completely fine if you're just doing YouTube content and you're not shooting in S-Log or some form of log profile where you do need that 10-bit codec. The A7C does have the Sony interface shoe on the top here. That is great. It's a multi-interface shoe. That is great for using Sony microphones where you don't need to use a cable. And I find that really brilliant. It takes its power through the interface shoe and the audio connection through the interface shoe. And that is great. Now you need to use it in analog mode. This microphone's got analog and digital output on it. You need to switch it to analog. There's a switch on the back of a microphone. You switch that to analog and that works brilliantly with the Sony A7C. You've got a gun mic on the camera. I say no cables, no batteries. You know it's going to work. And it's beautiful, so that will work nicely, and I use that a lot with my A7C. You'll see there that the meters are moving according to the audio input and the audio levels that I've set on the microphone. It is a manual microphone, so you can adjust the audio levels on the back of a microphone there. So absolutely brilliant. Love the fact that it's got the interface shoe. I've also got wireless microphones. I've got a Sony wireless microphone here that I recently purchased. This one, the transmitter just slots straight onto the camera. There's the interface connection there, straight onto the camera. No batteries, no nothing. And I've got the wireless part of a microphone there. It has got your headphone jack and your mic jack on the side. But again, that's another great feature. Fairly traditional these days to have a headphone and mic jack, but the fact that this one does have that on the side, you've got your USB-C, you've got your HDMI port, and you've got your headphone jack at the bottom, mic jack at the top. Now, to me, that's a great feature as well, but they've separated the headphone jack and the mic jack. They've color coded them as well, but the fact that the mic jack's on the top, headphone jack's at the bottom, you're not going to forget which one's which. In the dark or in low light, it's really annoying with cameras that have got them both side by side because I forget which one is which. But with this you can't because they're completely separated. Also, what I do like about the A7C, the the SD card is on the side of the camera. Now, I wish every camera had done that. I know a lot of them are doing it now, but I wish they all done it. It's on the side of a camera, not with the battery, where the battery goes. And I love it on the side, because when I've got this on the tripod, certainly again in the studio here, I'm using it on the tripod all the time. It's great that the SD card is on the side of the camera for taking it out, as opposed to having to fumble around with taking the camera off the tripod, sometimes taking the plate off the camera. So much easier with it being on the side of the camera. That's very much like my ZV-E10 Mark II. That's on the side of the camera as well. A great feature, and not something that I don't think too many people talk about, but for me, it's a really great advantage. Now, there are a few disadvantages with the A7C, the original A7C. I'm going to go through a few of them now. The grip is one, as I said earlier. It's fine with lenses like this, but if you put in big telephoto lenses on, the grip is not very good at all. It's quite uncomfortable if you're walking around all day with a longer lens on. If you're doing wildlife or you're doing sports photography, I wouldn't want to use this camera with a heavier lens. Great with the smaller lenses, no problem at all. Also, it has only got the one command dial. Now, a lot of people find that annoying. It doesn't really bother me, because I don't shoot in manual. I shoot in either aperture priority or shutter priority. It has got the exposure compensation dial on the top there, and it's got the one command dial on the back here, and a spinny wheel dial on the back there. So I find when I'm in aperture priority, that's fine. I just turn that dial for aperture priority, and then I've got my exposure compensation on the back there, and I can adjust this wheel to be the ISO or whatever. Well, I tend to use auto ISO. So not an issue to me, but to some people it will be an issue whether it has only got the one command dial. The original A7C hasn't got the new dedicated chip for autofocus. So the autofocus hasn't got some of the features that the newer A7C Mark II has, but it still has animal eye detect and human eye detect. Works great. It's fast, it's snappy, it is your sort of Sony autofocus, and it works beautiful. So don't worry about it, but it's not, hasn't got your other detection modes, such as birds, planes, trains, and that sort of thing. It's only got your human and animal, and I find that's no problem. It suits what I need it to do. So the last thing I would say about the Sony A7C, the in-body image stabilization isn't great. It's one of the older iterations, and the implementation isn't as good as what it is on the newer Sony bodies, certainly for video. Not too bad in photography. As I say, I've got some great images, certainly at the circus here. Low light capabilities with this camera is phenomenal. High ISOs you can get away with. I mean, that's ISO 200, so that's fine, because it was a well-lit theatre. Well, it was a tent, but it was well lit. But as you go up the ISOs, it still works incredibly well. ISO 500, no problem with noise. It doesn't matter. I did some at 3200. They work fine. It's sharp. The sensor's sharp. In-body image stabilization works pretty decent for photography. And I think all in all, 640 ISO, no problem. Still clean shadows. So yeah, very 2000 ISO. That's where you start to see noise, but it's still clean. Still really nice, clean in the shadows. 1600 ISO. So yeah, full frame cameras are much better in low light than what APS-C and certainly Micro Four Thirds are. So I can highly recommend this as a cost-effective camera. If you are doing theatre productions, you are doing low light photography a great deal, then you know this is a great option with its image stabilization in the body. You don't have to worry about it not being in the lenses. The lenses I used for this shoot didn't have in-lens image stabilization, so you know it's great. So you know, even for doing your outdoor stuff, this camera body works beautiful. You're going to get nice sharp images. You're going to enjoy using the camera. It's a joy to use. Really is a joy to use. The focus, the viewfinder is small. You do feel as though you're looking down the tunnel, but it does have a viewfinder, and again that's great. I use it for composition more so than I do for checking color and sharpness. I rely on the autofocus of the camera body. It has got touch autofocus, and it's got autofocus tracking, which works beautiful. So you can tap on the screen to find your autofocus point, and then it will track that whatever you've tapped on. And you can also do drag and focus. So you can look through the viewfinder and then drag the focus point across the screen and use it that way. So yeah, all in all, a nice camera to handle, takes great images. I say these images will be up on my Flickr page, so take a look at them there. Yeah, that's about it for this camera. Highly recommended, with a very wide selection of lenses available. So there we go. That's the Sony A7C in 2024. I can actually highly recommend it if you want to save some money. The money you save on buying the original A7C, will put that towards lenses. You know, tripods, lenses, microphones, whatever else you think you may need. So there we go. Thanks very much. Hope you found this video useful. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. Hit the like button if you like the content of my videos. Would really appreciate that. Does help me grow the channel. Cheers for now. Bye.